The Leading Edge Cricket Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, episode 40. And the Leading Edge is going under a rebranding and a big launch coming within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Heaps more cricket content to bring fans from all around the world to truly create this global cricketing community. Reviews, articles, heaps and heaps of good stuff. I'm Rob, one half of the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, and today, laid in the UK, in the middle of a random English heatwave, I'm joined by my co-host, Rich.
Yeah, how's it going, Rob?
Yeah, doing fine, thank you, my friend. There's rumours that you've been playing the tourist life for the last week.
Oh, you got to try these things, haven't you? Yeah, tourist guide, mate. Yeah, took a friend down to London for a couple of days, got a German friend trying to show her a little bit about England, but glad to have had a couple of pints on Friday after packed her off onto the plane, I'll be honest.
Oh, bless you. And how's the feet? Plenty of walking, plenty of marching around London, avoiding people, heads in armpits on the tube?
Miles covered, mate. Miles covered. But well worth it. Yeah, it was nice. I can't fault it. You can't beat London. Great place.
You can't. And your Fitbit will be going through the roof. Your Fitbit will be having a fit going, hey, you're in the 30th percentile of the country for steps in a day.
I haven't looked, I'll be honest. Sorry, I feel like I should have.
What?
No, it's fine. I'm on holiday, mate. Don't need to look at that. I'm on holiday.
You do know this is 2018 and Generation Y or X or Z or whatever they're called these days, everything's got to be monitored, digitalised and shared on Facebook.
Balls.
Missed opportunity.
Look how much I've walked today. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I do the same.
I barely
cared.
Yeah, I barely cared about listening to my mate talk about her kids for the last 3 days. I don't care. Sorry to be horrible. I just don't care. I'm not interested.
I just don't care. Well, hopefully we care about this. Because we care about cricket. We care about cricket. Why? Because cricket's bloody awesome. And today we're going to get stuck into the one-day international series that's taken place between England and India all the way back in the UK. I say all the way back in the UK. Rich, you're already in the UK. I'm slightly further away from the UK. And we're going to go through the 3 games, look at the stats, a few discussion points out of the game. And what we'd like to do is kind of give our player of the series and potentially look at giving our best 11 from the series as well. No mic drops at the end, though.
Oh, Mick drop? No, definitely not. I think he might be in it though, old Mick.
Oh, Mick had a good time of it. Mick with attitude. It's got to be one of the best things I've ever seen in cricket.
Yeah, too right. I mean, it's just so nice to see him. Actually, I don't know. They were getting a little bit of stick. I mean, we'll go into it in a sec. But the England team were getting a little bit of stick after the T20, after the first ODI as well. There was a certain spinner that was embarrassing one or two people in this country. It was good to see it turn around, wasn't it?
Excellent stuff. Take us through it. Rich, let's kick into the first ODI all the way back at Trent Bridge on the 12th of July, because it rhymes.
It did, and that's brilliant. And hopefully that'll be the last rhyme we do.
That's all we've got. Mic drop rhyme.
Right, and I think it's a mic drop, to be honest with you.
Oh,
don't worry about that.
You don't know Mick? Yeah, all right.
So you were saying the home of cricket, Trent Bridge, yes, hosted the first ODI. Obviously on the back of a T20 series that finished 1 apiece. I think India were very confident. I think quite a few of our friends who listen to the podcast were very confident as well, weren't they, Rob?
They were.
Coming into this one. So, and rightly so after this first ODI. It was certainly not a 400, nearly 500 game, which obviously the last last ODI, which was played at Trent Bridge. This time, England batting first. Bit of a strange scorecard, won't go into detail, but Jason Roy and Bairstow both with 38, a 50 for Ben Stokes, a 50 for Josh Buttler, runs around in that big score. The hero, though, Kuldeep Yadav, unplayable, it could be said. 6 for 25 off 10 in an ODI. 2.5 and over, even I can do the maths on that one. It was just sensational performance, wasn't it? The other end, the other Yadav, Umesha, 2 for 70 off 9.5. So, extremes there, would say. But a really, really strong bowling performance. Nobody could settle for England. Wickets galore for Kuldeep, and he just went through England. In reply, we 1 for 59 after 7.5 overs. Sikadar with a very, very brisk 40 before Rashid was caught him off the bowling of Ali. Sharma just taking this England attack apart, wasn't it? Virat Kohli did fall very, very close to the end when the game was almost, feeling like the game was pretty much over. He was gone for 72, stumped Buttler off Rashid. KL Rahul came in, steady 9 off 18 balls just to see him over the line, but it was all about Rohit Sharma. 137 114 balls. The word imperious comes to mind on this one. A convincing win for India in this first game, Rob.
The Hitman's just in superb form. 100 in the T20 one-day T20 International, 100 in this game, 137 not out. It was absolute beast mode. Him and Kohli made it look so easy. And in a 3-match series where you lose so comprehensively with 10 overs remaining, you're really starting to worry because England's got a history of, one, not being able to get out good players when they get going. Look at Steve Smith, Dave Warner. Stick Aaron Finch in there from a one-day point of view from time to time. Don't know why I'm doing that. But then you look at the England batting lineup and it seemed like it was posing problems. 268 is never going to be enough in the modern one-day cricket. And it's not going to be enough playing against a very, very good Indian team. Especially when you've got Kuldeep Yadav, who it's just the most incredible form. And you can see the England players, when they're playing against it, they can't pick it out their hand, and that's the problem. They are trying to play it off the pitch, and they are absolutely guessing about which way it's going to do. Sky did a really good breakdown of trying to watch what his wrist's doing, how it's coming over, and the actual turn of the seam. But when he bowls the ball, a regular Chinaman, you would see the ball rotating more sideways. His is more over. It's more of a top spinner, the one that goes the other way, the googly. So it makes it incredibly hard for the England team to pick. And that's why you see wickets like you did in the T20 internationals where Joe Root outstumped, Johnny Bairstow outstumped, because they actually think they're actually going to be getting a Chinaman rather than the googly.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, you've cut that out really nicely, and it's kind of what I think we spoke about it when we did last get together, where these players, Kuldeep Yadav, with all due respect, we've seen these players come through world cricket before. They're not necessarily all going to end up being Muralitharan, are they? No. They're not all going to be absolute superstars. Not going to be Shane Warne. But what they do is they bring something. They bring uncertainty, and they bring something with their game which has not really been seen before. It's not standard. It's not consistent with a lot of spinners that have walked before him. So it takes a little while. It takes some tape. It takes people facing him. It takes getting some information from teammates. IPL, obviously. England players play with other guys in the IPL. Maybe one or two might net with him at some point. It's all these things. And once you start building up this knowledge base, Kuldeep Yadav, as good a bowler as he is, becomes playable. He becomes human again. At this point, he wasn't human, was he?
No, definitely not. Can you remember back in the day, I think it was in the 90s, England went and toured South Africa, and all of a sudden, left-arm Chinaman Paul Adams was bowling.
The crab.
And got about 8 wickets or 9 wickets in a warm-up game, and England were like, we've never seen anything like it. Well, Paul Adams didn't go on to have the most successful international career in his life. Not saying that Yadav won't. I think Yadav's a hell of a lot better player than Paul Adams. What we're saying is that England's adaptability is going to be there. They will rebound against it. The other point that I want to take out of the game is the form of Ben Stokes, and it's something I'm finding quite frustrating since he started getting all punchy on a night out and aggressive, bit of a wide boy. He got 50 here, yes, but 50 off 103 balls is ridiculous. A strike rate of 48. He was so fighting within himself, and I like the fight to say, right, I'm going to get 50, I'm going to keep batting, it's going to get better. Well, at the moment, Ben Stokes, it's not quite getting better. And yes, this England team is a very, very good one-day international team and possibly the best one that I've seen. I'm not sure on Stokes at 5 in the lineup.
No, it's a strange one, isn't it? Obviously, Hales was the absolute star man coming into this, wasn't he? And from the previous ODIs that were played, against Australia, I think if Hales was fit, it'd have been interesting to see how they set this lineup. It would have been probably Hales at 3 still, perhaps.
Yeah.
They wanted to get Stokes back in it, Stokes back in any lineup. It's a strange one at the moment, isn't it? We've gone from a position where it looked really consistent with players missing out, the likes of Wokes and Stokes and one or two others, to a little bit like the T20, where I'm not 100% convinced of that lineup.
Yeah.
It might just be the order of it rather than the actual personnel, but yeah, it's just missing something, isn't it? And Stokes at the moment, it may be just missing Stokes on the top of his game.
It may well be. It may well be. So we go on to the second ODI International, all the way down in London town. Surprising you weren't there walking around. How did we go?
We did all right, Rob. We did all right. And if you mean we, meaning England, we did bloody well. Yeah. England came back, won by 86 runs. So 322 for 7, England posted. Thanks to Joe Root, 113 not out, 116 balls, 168. Where did that come from? Just before I go into any more detail, Root was the man that people were looking at a little bit. A quality player like that, people questioning having him in the side. Hopefully not many people, of course. But where did that not come from? Brilliant from Root. So Roy, 40, 38 for Bairstow. Again, consistent. Similar to the first game, wasn't it? A consistent start from those guys. 53 from Morgan. 50 late on, swashbuckling from David Willey. It's got to be swashbuckling if it's an all-rounder or a bowler having a swing.
Yep.
So a good score from England. Wickets, Kuldeep again, 3 for 68. So he followed up, still taking wickets, still bamboozling. One apiece for Umesh, Hardik Pandya and Yuzvendra Chahal. So India, in response, target for 123. And England were able to bowl them out for 236 in the 50 overs. So obviously we didn't get the big score from an Indian batsman. 15 for man in form Sharma, 36 for Dhawan, 45 for Kohli, a massive wicket. LBW bowled Ali. Suresh Raina 46, 37 for Dhoni. A lot of starts, wasn't it? We're obviously going to talk about Dhoni in a minute. But just wrap it up first. Plunkett 4 for 46, exceptional. Did I ever mention that Liam Plunkett supports Philadelphia Eagles, Rob?
You may have done in previous podcasts.
No, okay, just wondering. Yeah. Adil Rashid 2 for 38, 2 for 48 for David Willey. 1 for 31 or 5 for Mark Wood, and Stokes none for 29 or 5 as well. The bowling attack, I just want to quickly touch on that. It's pretty good bowling attack, but I'm still not convinced. There's something missing, and I don't know what it is at the minute. There's just something not quite there for me in the bowling attack, and maybe that's what this team's missing. So that's the win for England. It's 1-1. You're MS Dhoni, Rob. You've not had much time in the middle. Packed house at was it at Lords this game?
Lords,
I forget.
Lords, yeah.
It was, yeah. Packed house, home of cricket. Pretty much no chance of getting the win when he's in batting. I'm just going to have a net.
Yeah.
Just going to have a net. Thoughts?
It's an interesting one. Again, I like the fact that he spent some time in the middle. A la Ben Stokes. I give Ben Stokes a bit of grief. Dhoni, you kind of give a wide berth. But he really did cop it from the Indian fans to the point where they're going, hey, you shouldn't. Absolute Indian legend all over the country, sponsored by Pepsi, multi-millionaire, should not be in this one-day international team anymore. It should be Rishabh Pant. It should be Sanju Samson. There should be someone else that is coming through playing for this team because you are past it. And now I think that's an overreaction because just because the guy's got an ultra grey beard does not mean that he's past it. The fact that he did so well in the IPL doesn't mean he's past it. The fact that he can still score runs in the one-day internationals means he isn't past it. The team failed. But what we do as fans of the game is we like to pick on people and say, you're the problem. If I look at when England lost to Germany in the World Cup a few years ago and I look at John Terry in defence being slow and getting caught with the ball over the top, I blame John Terry. But the fact there was 10 other England players on the pitch means it was actually England with the problem, not John Terry. And I think Dhoni's copping a bit of slack for some of the wrong reasons, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite finished, let's say. He's still an absolute stud. I mean, his IPL was incredible. I think he made both our teams, didn't he?
Yes.
Which I'm sure he was delighted about, I'll be honest.
Oh, made his day.
But this was bizarre. This was truly bizarre. It was one of those where just knock the ball around. The guy at the other end, whoever was batting with him at the time, they can bat a little bit. It wasn't like he was batting with number 11 all the time. I just didn't really get it. I didn't really understand it. I just thought it was. I don't want to call it a selfish knock because it was just a bizarre knock. Yeah. I don't think we've seen anything really like that. I mean, boos from the spectators. It wasn't particularly any kind of dignified sort of way to go about your business from a player like MS Dhoni.
No.
I'd have understood it. I mean, if that was a test match and you're batting out the fifth day, then absolutely, it's incredible. But it's a one-day international. It's a win-lose game of cricket. Obviously go down with your head held high, but there's ways of doing that. I'm not saying you've got to go out guns blazing, but you could have at least, when you're turning the bloke back, when you're hitting the ball to the boundary for one, and lean on my bat and face the next ball, it just got ridiculous.
Yeah, it has. It makes me wonder if there's a problem in the dressing room. It's the kind of performance by someone that looks like he's slightly disinterested, maybe got his back up against something that's going on internally. Yeah. Now, there's been no rumours that that's going on. It's purely just interpreting what's going on and go, why would someone do that? What is going on? And it's almost like he's got out the bed the wrong side on this day, and it's just Dhoni, dude, what are you doing? But coming aside from Dhoni, the one guy that I want to pick on, yes, Joe Root, fantastic, great to see him back in form. And it was either this one or the next one that was the record for the most ODI centuries for an England player. He should, for me, bat at 3. One-day international cricket, it's not smash, smash, smash. You need the guy that can rotate around, can score boundaries, can sweep, can score in different areas, rotate the strike. Joe Root is absolutely critical to England doing well, and having him bat at 3 is the best option, in my opinion. People have different views of the batting lineup. And the other player, David Willey. Highly underrated part of this one-day international setup for me. His bowling is better. It's got better from where it was when he first debuted back in 2015. He takes wickets. He's almost got 50 one-day international wickets now. His economy rate's below 6. And he scores runs. He's got 2 T20 centuries in domestic cricket. He can play this role for England. Down at number 8, I see it. He's a rich man, Ashley Giles. He can actually hit the ball off the square rather than just sticking around. But he's got the ability to score runs down at 8 in the order. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's a player that he's never really achieved what we expected him to achieve.
Yeah.
Whether that's in domestic cricket or international cricket, we've thought a few years ago he was going to come on the scene and be an absolute superstar. He's not. He's a guy that gets his contracts around the world. He gets his England internationals, but he hasn't quite become the guy to put a team on his back, has he? So maybe he's starting to take those steps. He's moving towards that point where he is actually more important than we give him credit for within the dressing room, within the setup. So Plunkett's massively underrated as well.
Yeah.
To be honest, for what he brings to the team, he's not obviously the long-term solution, just based on age, really, isn't it? But there is still something just missing from that team. It might just be a quick, it might be a quality. Stick a Mitchell Stark in our bowling lineup, and I don't think anyone gets near us.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, totally get you with Willie. As for Root at number 3, I don't know. I mean, the reason I don't know is because there's a bloke called Alex Hales knocking about.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes ago, he was pretty much, breaking records. So it's 2 different arguments, isn't it? One, I totally agree that it's not all smash cricket. It's 50 overs. You've got to manipulate the ball in the middle overs. Not every track's going to be true and, basically just being passed onto the middle of your bat so you can smack it out of the park. You need the Root innings. You need the people manipulating. But at the same time, I quite like having those 3. It's almost 3 openers. All 3 can go at it at that same pace. And then you can have Root at 4 to control the innings from there, depending on how it's going. The only slight problem is I don't really want Root coming in late. Because he's not somebody that's going to clear the ropes too often. So it's a difficult one. It's a lovely problem, if you want to call it that, to have. Bit of an embarrassment of riches at the minute for England in that respect. But I think we're talking far too much about England, and is that because we also won the 3rd ODI to clinch the series 2-1, Rob?
It is. So this isn't going to be rhyming, but July 17th we headed to Leeds. You see, it's not got the same ring to it when it's not got a rhyme.
I tell you, that sounds like the start of a song, doesn't it? Beautiful, Rob.
17th
it's like
July,
poetry.
We went to Leeds, had a few pints and had a peeve.
That's cool. We'll have to translate peeve, though, to basically 99.9% of the people listening.
Excellent.
Drink. Right. 3rd ODI. We are in Leeds. We're at Headingley. India bat first, 256 for 8. Under par, it's got to be said, doesn't it? So after that first game, India kind of just lost the way. Kohli again with a 70. 71 for him in this game. 42 for MS Dhoni, 44 for Darwin. It should be said, MS Dhoni, 42 off 66, and not the most rapid of innings again. Lots of 20s. 4 players reached the figure of 21 or 22. Just not a strong attack here. 3 for 40 for Dave Willey, 3 for 49 for Adil Rashid, and 1 for 30 for Mark Wood. Really respectable figures, but yet again comes back to the thing that I've said numerous times. Mark Wood, 1 wicket, 2 wickets, 1 wicket, 2 wickets. He's not. When's he going to bowl the team out? When's he going to get himself a man of the match performance? So what we saw for England in this game was James Vince was recalled for was it Jason Roy, wasn't it? Obviously.
Jason Roy.
So Vince came in the side, and he was in great form. Got his Hampshire side to the final of the One Day Cup, and he had a magnificent knock. I think it was in the semi-final. He got 176? Off the top of my head, something like that. Ridiculous knock, and he was going pretty well. Run a ball 27, and then he basically ran himself out. So frustrating. I don't want to say he ran himself out, but he didn't really break his neck, break his back, break every single bone in his body to get himself, in his ground. There was no dive. There was no massive effort. This could be a third ODI. He's not going to get another shout of England for a little while here. So this could have been his opportunity to keep himself in the frame, but he got himself run out. Bairstow 30 again. He basically a series of 30 odds for Bairstow. Morgan 88 not out. Top stuff from the skipper, and Joe Root 100 not out. 120 balls. Mic drop.
There's that Mick drop again.
Who's Mick? I've never heard of Mick drop.
Yeah, shows my musical prowess. It's quite limited to heavy metal back in the late 90s. But yeah, excellent by England. India, they just went away with a whimper, and they kind of struck me in this series, going from the T20 series and the confidence to the back end of the ODI series. They're a bit like a schoolyard bully that's got a team of superb players who were just knocked about a bit by England, and then this third one-day international, they just definitely were not the best team on the park. I do worry about this lineup. I do worry. Suresh Raina, great player over the years, shouldn't be involved in this Indian one-day team when it comes around to World Cup time, in my opinion. Just off the mark. Just off the mark from where he was. Kohli was superb, batted very, very well. But that ball from Adil Rashid, I sent a tweet out about it, and it was being shown at work in the day about 20 times while I was having a cup of tea. Just one of the finest balls in one-day internationals that I've seen in a long, long time. And Kohli's face when he gets out is a lifetime gif. If you're ever shocked about something, send a picture of Virat Kohli getting bowled, because his facials are absolutely superb. And Rashid just goes to show the development that there's been over the years, and for him, maybe a bit of vindication of going, hey, white ball only, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. But the funny thing with Rashid at the minute, you say white ball only, bro, but there's actually now talk. I think someone asked the question of Ed Smith of the national selector, and basically that Adil Rashid will be considered for the England Test side. So it's a strange one, isn't it? Maybe just leave him where he is. He's doing bloody well.
Yeah.
He's turned himself into a good bowler, isn't he? So, but yeah, coming back onto the Indian lineup, obviously there are far more qualified people than me and you to discuss this, and we're not trying to say that we're experts of Indian cricket, but I know what you're saying. I mean, there's some really nice parts of this team, but there are so many talented young players coming through.
Yeah.
That I think we spoke last time. You want to make sure that you're dripping them in, not all together. You want to drip them in one at a time. Suresh Raina could potentially be the one that drops out first, potentially. You start looking at who's the next kid coming through. Rivlin, we don't give Rivlin a mention, Rob, very often, but he communicates with us a lot. Appreciate that. He's talking about here, probably talking about actually the Test match, but there are some players he mentions here that need consideration. I know you've mentioned a lot about PP Shaw.
Yes.
As a player that you're excited about. Agarwal, Shubman Gill. Obviously, we spoke about Rishabh Pant. There are players out there now, aren't there? I've obviously missed some others, I'm sure, but there are players out there now that are desperate to get into this team. They're in pretty good form. They've had experience the conditions. Nice to see one or two of these in the Indian side, especially in the batting.
Yeah, it definitely would, and yeah, I think that's the bit that's kind of letting them down a little bit at the moment. Just the batting, it's disappointing, and you got to take someone like Darwan. Darwan's had a shocker of a tour so far. He's not passed 50 in any of the T20 internationals, or that's 4 including Ireland, or 3 one-day internationals. So he's had a really, really rough time of it. But England just need to take a bow and go, that's one hell of an effort. When was, it's been years since we've had, or for me, as in yourself as long-term England supporters, we always had a bad one-day international team. And if we went 1-0 down, there was never a hope in hell that we would come back against a strong team like India and pick up a victory. And it just goes to show. It just goes to show how far we've come. And we've done it in the bowling unit through spin. Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid have been absolutely top-notch against a subcontinent team. When does that happen for an England team?
Yeah, exactly. And you can't criticise India for their preparation, for their planning for this series, but it's just been exceptional. We wondered how things would go. The T20, once that result went against England, then the first ODI went against England. I think the cricketing nation of England basically all just gasped, didn't they, and just took a step back and went, crap,
yep.
This is going to be a long summer. But we turned it around. It's been a fantastic effort. Good cricket, exciting cricket. India, like I said, it was a little bit of a whimper in the end. England deserved it. They really did deserve it. I cannot wait for the Test series. I'm so happy. It's 5 Test matches.
Yeah,
it would have been an absolute travesty for this India team and this England team to have only had 3 Tests. Maybe there are question marks in the England Test side, especially with the batting. But these two sides going toe to toe, 5 Tests. We're going to find out who's the best team around at the minute.
Yep, and that's what it comes down. That's how this whole tour will be remembered. It's the 5 Test series. How did India do with the extended preparation to get ready to play red ball cricket in England? But we'll have nearer the time. So that kicks off, I think, on the 2nd of August or the 1st of August. So we'll have a preview podcast coming out a couple of days before that one goes live. So what we'll do, Rich, we'll break down some of the stats from the series from both teams, pick our player of the tournament. Maybe between us, let's see if we can piece together a best 11 out of the series.
Joe Root. There you go, man of the series.
Sold Joe Root.
Next pod.
Yep,
next pod.
You've done it. You've done a mic drop, and I said Mike.
That's what I thought I'd do it for. Joe Root inspired me. I'm not messing about. Joe Root, get it done. Close it.
Just drop it.
No. Yeah, it's up to you. I don't mind. You want to do that? I'm not sure. I mean, could we say Jason Roy opening the back with Bairstow? Then Joe Root number 3.
Well, there was 11 good England players in the setup. So
yeah. Tell you what, I'll let Kuldeep Yadav come in the team. I'll swap him for somebody. Mark Wood. There you go. We'll go with an extra spinner.
Oh, that's fair enough.
We joke. Virat Kohli was exceptional once again. It's an absolute pleasure to see him. It's interesting. What would have happened if he actually had about a month playing in English conditions with Surrey?
Yeah. Breaking down some of these England stats then, mate. So we look at the England batting averages. Joe Root, head and shoulders above anyone else with 216 runs at an average of 216. Ewan Morgan, 160 runs at an average of 80. Just solid by those two players at the top for England. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's good to see Morgan getting that consistency. I don't know why, but I've not always warmed to him as a player. I don't know if that's a personality off the field. As a batsman, he was exceptional. He was very different, wasn't he, early on?
Yeah.
So it's good to see him have some consistency. It's all about going into next year now, isn't it, with white ball? So opinions aside, really, on personalities, we need Morgan on form. Playing cricket, which is the criticism I have of him, he doesn't play enough cricket.
Yeah.
Playing cricket and performing well. So good to see him and Root up there, the leading run scorers.
At the top. Johnny Bairstow, Jason Roy, decent series for both without setting the world alight. Both got in and got out in the games they were playing in. Josh Butler didn't get huge amounts of chance. But I've mentioned him so far, but what I'm going to highlight here is Ben Stokes. 55 runs, highest of 50, 27 average, 49 strike rate. Batting at 5 in one-day cricket. What do we think?
Yeah, well, on those figures, obviously, there's no other argument to say that that's not good enough. He's now got a bit of time, hasn't he? We're not talking about white ball cricket again until the English summer has finished for this England setup. Obviously, it's all about red ball now going forward. So we'll see. Ben Stokes at the end of the 5-match Test series could be an incredible form. He might have all come together. I can't remember where we're up to with his legal case, but you would hope it must be somewhere close to being finished by then.
Yeah.
So who knows? When we come, next time we talk about England playing an ODI series, it could be that he's flying again. But yeah, it's questionable at the minute. We want to see him get into some form. He's struggled for a while now, hasn't he? He's not quite been the same cricketer. So we just hope it all comes back to him when he picks up that red ball soon.
It could be said, Rich, that he's got a hangover. Yep.
Is this the question of the week? Have I got to explain the joke?
No. Insert tumbleweed over the top of that.
I'm sorry.
He's got a hangover.
I'm sorry. Is that because he might have had a drink or something when he punched that person?
Yeah, he got a few beers, a few ciders, and got all punchy down in Bristol.
Got you. Punchy.
Kicking into the bowling attack for England here. So there's two that stand out head and shoulders above everyone else, and it's David Willey.
Yep.
5 wickets at 22 with an economy rate of 4.7, and Adil Rashid 6 wickets at 24 with an economy rate of 4.96. There's a huge drop-off in terms of the average, really, for the guys or the wickets taken there, with the exception of Liam Plunkett, 4 at 29. But nobody really, other than Ben Stokes, going over 6 and over, which is a hell of an achievement against India in a 3 ODI series.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great thing to acknowledge, that is, mate. Yeah, just consistent, a good attack. And like I say, Mark Wood, I have my criticisms of him for the obvious reasons and for the reasons I've voiced it many, many times. But he's been relatively consistent, from an economy rate point of view, hasn't he? So, and he can create pressure. And it's not always about the ones that take wicket. It's about creating pressure at the other end. Batsmen batting partnerships, bowlers bowling partnerships sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's that pressure from one end that can bring wickets at the other end.
Yeah.
So it's a good all-round unit. Just looking at the bowling then, Rob, obviously, Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid, you spoke about how they've done a lot of good stuff this series for England. Yadav, obviously, the star man, let's say, for India in this series.
Yeah.
Where would your combined bowling lineup be then out of this?
Well, I think you've got to take Kuldeep into account. He's got to be in the lineup. You've got to open with David Willey.
Yeah.
I think you've got to put Liam Plunkett into the mixer. He was exceptional in 2 of the 3 matches, and I didn't quite see it. I'd probably open with the other Yadav. So I'd have Yadav Willey. I'd have Yadav as a spinner, I'd have Rashid as a spinner, and I'd have Plunkett as a seamer. That would probably be the 5 bowlers that I take from it. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, I can't really. There's no strong feeling one way or another to veer away from that. I think that's about there. It gives the 2 Indian bowlers, doesn't it? I was quite impressed with Umesh. He's got a lot of hustle about him. I like that.
Yeah.
And obviously Kuldeep was. He's just been great. We'll go into it, but he's actually earned himself a call up into the Test squad on the back of these white ball performances, hasn't he? So he's had a brilliant start to the his English tour. I'd agree with that. That's bang on for me.
Good on him. And then kicking into the Indian batting lineup, because this was a bit of a failure. I was expecting fireworks from the Indian team like we got in the T20 series, and it was almost a bit of a damp squib. There's some good averages, but there's not a lot of context to the average, not a lot of oomph and big runs. Sharma ended up with 154 runs, but he scored 137 in the first game. I see that as a failure. Kohli, 191 runs at 63. Yes, he got the most runs for the team at an average of 63 250s. It's not a bad series, but you identify players on each team that you go, I need to play better than that guy. When Steve Smith's playing, Joe Root will look at him and go, I need to play better than Steve Smith. When he's playing against Kane Williamson, I need to beat Kane Williamson. Well, Virat Kohli had to beat Joe Root here, batting at 3. And Joe Root, hands down, beat Virat Kohli. So Kohli's stats are good. It's just Joe Root beat him hands down. Darwan was disappointing for me. He got 120 runs. He didn't pass 50. So he was in the best Owen Roy scheme of things where he's getting in. He's not really going on to make an impact into the game. MS Dhoni played for himself, a couple of red inkers apparently. And Suresh Raina we've had a huge drop off. Raina 47 runs in the series. It's not really good enough. So where do you kind of piece together this Indian lineup from the series, Rich? It feels like it's a bit of a letdown for the Indian fans.
It is, and I wonder if I'd be interested to get people's take on this. And this is not intended as a criticism as such, but I just wonder if the way they went into from the T20 to the first ODI and at the back after the first ODI, if a little bit of overconfidence just slipped in, and I think they just probably thought that actually we've got the making of this England team, and we can pretty much roll through them. And they just took the foot off the gas a little bit. Maybe, I don't want to use the word arrogance, but you know what I mean? Maybe they just got a little bit overconfident.
Yeah.
With the batting, Virat Kohli, he's not gone on and got that big score to go and win the game at any point, but he has consistently scored runs in this series. So he's up there, isn't he? He's had a good series. But when you compare it to what Joe Root's done, he's lost that battle, hasn't he? And it's a key battle. You've got to be the guy, like you said, you've got to aim to beat the other star player, whoever's the on-form player or in-form player of the other side. You've got to try and beat them. If you're Virat Kohli, you can't be beaten by anybody. Yeah. I'm sure that's his mentality. A little bit disappointed with others. Big fan of Shikhar Dhawan. It'll be interesting to see how they do change things up. I was really interested to see Dinesh Karthik, see how he played, didn't he, in the third game?
Yeah.
I'm losing my train of thought there, but I'm sure there's players knocking around. It just wasn't anything. I think probably the way my mindset actually is now, as I'm talking about it, I'm looking at it and I can't really think of anything that was too remarkable. It was just quite an ordinary series in a lot of respects, wasn't it? Apart from the first game.
Yep, it definitely was. So who do we take as the openers from both teams?
Well, it's got to be Sharma because he's had the stand-up performance. He's won a game of cricket for his team in the first game.
Yep.
And then Bairstow, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. It's a hard one because no one scored the runs at the top of the order, did they, at 1 and 2?
No, I mean, Roy missed the third game, doesn't he? Whereas Bairstow got himself 3 30s.
Yep.
Roy got himself a late 30 and a 40. So, I mean, what do you do? How do you pick the bones out of that, really?
You could take Darwan and say, hey, Darwan scored 3 40s.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So there's an argument to be put for both of those, but then it's the pace. England consistently got off to a pretty good start.
Yes.
So that helps. So I don't think there's, I think it's Darwan or Bairstow probably.
We'll make the call. We'll go with Bairstow. Bairstow had a strike rate of 134 in the series compared to 113 from Darwan. So Bairstow and the hitman at the top of the order. Number 3?
It's got to be Root, hasn't it? I mean, Virat Kohli, you'd probably want him at number 3 if he was in your side and available.
Yep.
But you can't dispute what Joe Root's just done in these 3 games, especially in the last 2.
Yep.
213 runs unbeaten.
Yep.
So he's number 3. It's as simple as that. He's first name on the team sheet. Kohli's probably dropped in at 4 then, doesn't he?
Yeah, we've got to go at Kohli at 4. Number 5, we've got a few issues because it's Ben Stokes from an England point of view, which doesn't quite crack it. And then India kind of mixed around. They had MS Dhoni at 5, they had Raina at 5. They couldn't get settled on a number 5. So is that a case you bring Ewan Morgan in at number 5?
Yeah, I think so. You're just bumping him down one, aren't you? Just because you've put two number 3s in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. And then what do you reckon? Does Joss Buttler?
Joss Buttler had a very, very quiet series. He
got 50 in the first game. He got 50 in the first game. Yeah.
So do you go with him over Dhoni? Dhoni got 79 runs at 39. Joss Buttler, slightly less runs, batted less, 98 strike rate, whereas Dhoni, incredibly, had a 63 strike rate, which puts him into Ben Stokes territory.
I just think it left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I've always been a big fan of MS Dhoni, incredible player, but I don't know. I don't know if he's had a rough time of things. That beard's getting greyer, isn't it? It's just he doesn't look a happy boy at the minute. I'm sure there's something else that's going to come out in the wash at some point with this. But yeah, for me, Joss Buttler. I think you stick Joss Buttler. It's one of those, like you said, nobody really did much to shout home about or write home about and shout about. But yeah, I'd say Buttler just on the fact of that bizarre innings at Lords from Dhoni.
Well, there we go. We've got a top 6. We've got Adil Rashid, David Willey, Liam Plunkett, and we've got a pair of Yadavs into the starting lineup. So that'll do it for the India versus England discussion. Like we said, there'll be a test match preview coming out around about the 30th of July when we've got both teams announced, and we're getting all excited about the first of 5 test matches that are coming up. Let us know in the comments, guys, who you think makes your team of the tournament, and what was the real letdown for India? What was the problem? And if you were to pick your World Cup team for India coming into the 2019 World Cup, what are the changes are you making? Is Rishabh Pant in the team? Sanju Samson in the team? What about the bowling attack? They lacked a little bit of potency with the seamers, to be fair. Anything else from yourself, Rich, on the one-day series?
I think it's just worth touching on the bowling attack from India just very, very briefly. No Bumrah, that's massive.
Yes.
Massive Bumrah. No, lack of Bumrah, sorry. It sounds like I'm talking about someone's physique then, doesn't it? No, massive loss for India. And Bhuvaneshwar Kumar struggling with an injury. He played the 3rd game, but he's re-injured himself as well. You stick Kumar and you stick Bumrah in that 11. I'd have been very interested to see the outcome for England.
Yeah.
That puts the quality up another notch, doesn't it? We know the squad is so strong for India at the moment. And to be fair, the squad's pretty strong for England, I think, as well. But yeah, let us know. I'd be very interested to know what people's thoughts are going forward for the next time India play white ball international cricket. But don't just tell us who you want in the team. Tell us who you want in the team and who would they replace. I don't want to know that Rishabh Pant should be in the team. I reckon he should be. But who's in the team instead of?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's a great shout, guys. But thank you so much for listening, guys. England, India, one-day series in the books. Roll on the test matches. You guys have been legends. Till next time.